Alright, so today we're dissecting the frog. As you can see, whenever I turn it over to its ventral side, it's lighter than its dorsal side, and that is called counter shading. It's used as camouflage, and so whenever they're in the water, their predators on the bottom mistake it for the sky because it's lighter, and then whenever they're on the rainforest floor, their predators on the top it camouflages into the ground. And as you can see, it has very muscular and powerful legs. These are used for jumping, either to move from one place to another or catching its prey. And as you can also see, it does have webbed feet. That's used to make them efficient swimmers. And that's very useful because they do live in areas where water is plentiful, like the rainforest or the swamps. And here you can see the eyes. They're fixated on the top of the head because whenever they're submerged in water, you can only see their eyes, so their prey won't see them. And their front limbs are not as webbed, so they can grab things to eat them. And also the skin is used as a respiratory organ. It picks up oxygen. It helps aid the lungs in picking up oxygen. And here is the tongue. It's more to the front of the mouth instead of to the back like most animals because it is used to extend longer distances, and the tongues do secrete a mucus coat, so it can make it sticky so it can catch their prey more easily. And here are its teeth. They're not really prominent because they're not used for chewing. They're mostly used just to like hold their prey. Once they have their prey in their mouth, they use these two teeth and the tongue to chomp it and kill it, and then it goes down to the esophagus where it is transferred to the stomach. Okay, so here is part of the digestive system. Here's the most prominent organ in the body. It's the liver. It metabolizes carbohydrates and fats, and it produces bile, which is stored in the gallbladder right here. So here is the stomach, which secretes acids that break down and digest the food. Then it goes into the small intestine, whereas it's the site of nutrient absorption. Then it goes into the large intestine right here, where water is reabsorbed, and then it forms into the cloaca, which is down here. And as you can see, it's pretty long. Here's the stomach, the large intestine, and the small intestines compared to the frog size. Okay, so here are the fat bodies. There are these yellow-orange things. They're especially prominent in females, and they are used as an energy reserve for the frog. Here are they again. And they're right next to the kidneys. Alright, and then right here is the heart. It's a double circulatory system, and it has 3 chambers. And you can see it more clearly here. So what happens is that the deoxygenated blood comes from the right atrium. Also, some oxygenated blood from the skin comes in through here. They pump into the one ventricle, then it pumps out into the lungs and the skin capillaries because, as I said before, the skin picks up the oxygen. Then the oxygenated blood comes through the left atrium. Then it goes to the one ventricle, then gets pumped out into the body where the body receives the oxygen. And as you can see here, there are a bunch of capillaries under the skin, and that is used to facilitate gas exchange throughout the skin into the body.
These are the eggs, as you can see. As we said, this is a female, so she has a lot of eggs. They go all around their bodies. After the eggs are laid, they develop their reproductive structures. The gills are lost and the caudal fin is lost. Once they are developed into tadpoles, their limbs and lungs develop and their tail is reabsorbed. As you can see, they don't have a tail. And the reason they lay so many eggs, because this is hundreds, is because more than half of them are killed and eaten by predators. So only a few survive to go on and develop. And frogs are oviparous animals, which means that they lay their eggs outside of the body and they develop from there. Okay, so we have just taken out all of the eggs, and underneath these are the oviducts. They're on both sides. These are where the eggs are stored before they go into the body. And just as a reference, if the frog was a male, instead of having the oviducts on each side and the extra space for the eggs to be carried, it would have 2 testes right where these 2 red arrows are pointing, right above the kidneys. Here is the spleen, this little purple raisin. It is used to digest old red blood cells, platelets, and bacteria. Okay, so these 2 brown kind of structures in the back, these are its kidneys. So the kidneys are used they're used in excretion of substances like water and nitrogenous waste. So some of the waste goes through the urethra and either through the cloaca or comes out in the urine, and other waste goes through the skin, like we said, and they are used to regulate osmosis. So on land, amphibians store water inside to stay hydrated, and in the water they use the kidneys again to let most of the water out. Okay, so we are showing you where the cloaca is. So ALIANA just stuck the probe through, and it's this little hole right there coming out. It is used to eliminate digestive waste products and urine.
Alright, and here are the lungs. They are fairly small because the skin does aid it in respiration. It picks up oxygen from the environment and it removes waste.
So we are looking at the olfactory lobes right now. They're used for the sense of smell, and you can kind of get an idea of that since they are closer to the nostril area. Next are the 2 optic lobes, these little circle right there. They're big, yes, they're very big. They are used for vision, so we can kind of infer that frogs have a very good sense of sight. And next is the cerebellum. It's used for balance and equilibrium. After that is the cerebrum, that is used for memory, pain, and voluntary functions. So here's the model of the brain. In the frog, it actually is presented like this. So first are the olfactory lobes, the optic lobes, the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and here is the medulla oblongata that we were talking about. These are used for involuntary functions. So back from the brain, instead of spinal cords, amphibians have a lateral line system. So same idea, goes down their back, and many of the nerves connect to this. Many amphibians have sensory receptors all through their skin. Some are just bare nerve endings that detect heat, cold, and pain. So they are gone, but the eyes are the most important sensory organ that the frogs have because they're primarily sight feeders, so they need very good vision and sense of sight and depth to feed.